Hi there guys, and welcome to another Train Sim 2017 video. Today we're on the Peterborough to York route. That took me a while to remember. By Creative Rail. Just wait for that Northern 156 to disappear. This is a scenario by Chris Horsfield, and of course we are back in my trusty steed, the Class 91. Quick apology if you hear any wind noise. It is blowing harder than Theresa May's manifesto out there, and I can hear it in here, so I'm sure you're going to hear bits of it. It is really gale force out there. Good morning, drivers. Today you're taking over 1 Sierra 02, which originates here at Doncaster on the 0615 Virgin Trains East Coast service to Edinburgh, calling at York, Darlington, Durham, Newcastle, Alnmouth, Berwick-upon-Tweed, Dunbar, Edinburgh. Please open the doors before boarding. We can do that. But of course, with this route, these doors don't open. You have to go like halfway down the train before you get a door that'll open. So of that whole platform we're in, we have 3 carriages. So it's 3, 1, 2, 3.5, 2.5, 1.5. So what we got kicking about? We've got a bit of time to kill. Got 66 over there. This being a Chris Horsfield scenario, of course, there's some cool repaints in here. It does mean copying over geophiles, which I hate. The lovely Class 92. This will, of course, have the Armstrong Powerhouse sound enhancement pack. Even though it's classed as a sound pack, it's probably the first one that I would class as a enhancement pack, and it's awesome. 321 Northern River livery. That's DP Simulations. Armstrong Powerhouse 142. What do we have coming over here? Let's have a look from the cab of this. I mean, look at the detail in that for the 92. I've actually read what it says on this bit. Oh, better check your MCBs there, mate, before you set off anywhere. That's a Ying Ying. It's a 66. GBRF 66 as well. That's not common in many scenarios, apart from the Armstrong Powerhouse ones. And that's got the Just Train sea cows that it's hauling there. She's picking up some speed. Alright, mate. That'd be a cool ride. Over here we have this little thing. Now, I haven't driven this since the rail simulator days, but it is in this scenario. When Chris put it up, I was like, I bought that years ago in a DVD case from Game. It was Rail Simulator, one of the first add-ons for Rail Simulator, that was. I haven't, driven it, I don't think, for years. I got the Class 09 in the BR Blue Pack, which is a bargain, by the way. It's well worth a get. Right, I suppose we better set up this 91 set up properly, noting that the tail lights are on, but the first thing I'm going to do, just to make myself better from the last video, is put my marker lights on. The 91 does it for me, see, I don't have to actually switch the tail lights off. You can shush. Right, headlights on as well. Let's have some instrument lights on dim. What we at? Sort of like a autumny, springy time. Let's have some foot warmers on. Why not? And some window demisters. Parker brakes off. Brakes at step 3. Speed set. Let's get that going for 40. That's our departing speed. DRA is on, but we don't need it, so it saves me starting to pull away with it on, like I always do. But no, you see, today I've got my 91 back. I'm going to do some flying up the East Coast Main Line, like I enjoy in Train Sim. Let me just get myself sorted on my desk, if you can call it that, as well. I've added a new bit of foam to kind of keep my elbow up, so I'm readjusting my keyboard sort of every 10 seconds till I find a comfortable spot with it and keep it that way. So we will hit some wrong buttons at some point, I'm sure. I'm sure you all remember the last time I changed my keyboard position, I kept reducing the brake when I wanted to put it on and vice versa. It's amazing how much a tiny little change in positioning can really screw you over with things. So ETS on, we'll put that on. Just to make sure there's nothing else here we need to be doing. Does this come on? No? All cool. That says ready to go. It's been a while since I've driven the 91. I tried to do a video with it the other week when that strange train sim update just kept causing dump files every 3 seconds, but I only drove it for about 20 minutes. This scenario is available on CH Scenario's Facebook page. Link will be in the description below. Apologies, I do have to update a link from the last video from the Manchester video for the updated HD cab textures. I'll stick that in a comment and pin it to the top. So the Freightliner 66. I'm really pleased Chris has got the newer version of the 66s now and the Armstrong Powerhouse Enhancement Pack. Sort of these modern day scenarios do really need it. He did have one before, he had the Midland Mainline 66, but I didn't have that, so every time he was making a scenario with it, I was having to swap it out. Also, it came with some PCA tankers, which I kept having to swap out as well, even though I had them from other packs. But they seemed pretty specific for the Bedford St Pancras route. And with this scenario already, he's picked out the right time of day for this route. It does make it look really nice. Right, well, we've got 100. So this is a relatively short scenario. What we're doing, 33 miles, no, 32 miles probably it's been. Which is pretty quick. Well, let's say that. I'm looking forward to a nice, enjoyable, clear run up the East Coast Main Line, knowing, Chris, there will be something somewhere that might hold me up. He started not telling me about bits and scenarios now, which I quite like. And don't get me wrong, see, I really love a straight run sometimes, and just getting up there and getting away from stations, away from signals. 125, lovely. But then, that gets boring, doesn't it? There's that 66 that passed us earlier. It's nice to have a yellow. It's nice to have a temporary speed restriction here and there. Adds to it, adds to the immersion in my eyes. I'm not going to say it doesn't irritate me, because sometimes it does, but I'm sure real train drivers get irritated by it. In fact, there's a video on YouTube, I say this every video, don't I, that was filmed on the East Coast Main Line in the early 90s. Was it like a... oh, what was it called? Inside Out or something, one of those BBC Horizon sort of programme, but it's not. And there's a driver, some really old school drivers driving a 91. It was the Pullman set, they're in a Mark IV DVT, they must have been anyway. They're driving the Yorkshire Pullman from Leeds down to London. And the guy asked them while they're in the cab doing the run down, he said, do you like driving trains, do you enjoy it? And he goes, yeah, when I can get away from signals and stations. And I completely agree with him. I love it, they're both sitting in there smoking fags. And like, his second man gets in, because of course anything back in those days, anything over 110 mile an hour required a second man. And oh, that was naughty, I should have kept my eye on the speed. So it's going to go down to 100 here. And he gets on, is it Doncaster? Darlington, Doncaster. It does get on at Doncaster. He goes, what's the bloody hell's all this then? And the guy goes, oh, it's BBC TV. And he goes, what? Cable TV? With a fag in his hand. It's brilliant. Really good programme. Really good insight to the railway I sort of grew up with. Really good look at sort of everything's intercity swallow. And then they follow this driver that's pulling a 91 set with 47, because there was a year there was loads of heavy snow and it couldn't quite get up the incline going up to Leeds. Wait, is it Wakefield? And they had to put 47s on the front because the 91s were getting full of snow through the grills, and then it was thawing out and all the water was dripping into electrical cubicles. And the guy gets himself into a bin bag just to keep himself's legs warm when he's driving a 47. And actually, my mate who now drives 365s used to drive 47, well now 387s, used to drive 47s, and he used to say the same thing. He used to have a kid's sleeping bag that he used to just put his legs in. He said 86s weren't much better for it either. It's daft, isn't it? These guys come on to do a job and they've got to put bin bags around themselves and stuff to actually do it. But it was still a good laugh though. See, this route can look really pretty. This is a really nice drive. In fact, so nice. For those of you who don't watch my videos or don't have this pack, remember that this saying I'm speeding, I'm not actually speeding. I am just doing 125. It's just the way the game reads the speed of the train slightly wrong. So yeah, in fact I'm going to sit in the Mark IV for a bit. Okay, Armstrong Powerhouse captured the noise of this so well. Got to be careful that I don't fall asleep to it. Now I've got a bit older, I quite enjoy a little kip on a train. It's hard work being a railway enthusiast and feeling really relaxed on trains, because I do end up falling asleep, but then I miss bits. And I really like to see what's in every side. It's not as common now to find cool things in sidings. When I was a kid, drove past any side and there was always something in it. You saw a flashy yellow, you saw, even when I was younger, an old bit of BR blue or some sort of track machine. And we've got it, we're spoiled today. I mean, you could basically go on Facebook and find out any gen you want, what's where, what's what. You could get a slight glimpse of something and go on Facebook group and just go, oh, what's in the siding at so-and-so? Somebody will come up with, oh, it's a tamper or it's a ballast cleaner. And most of the time they can even give you the number of it. And then you just whack that into Google and you've got a picture of it. You find out everything about it. I remember being a kid and finding things out, that like checking every book in libraries, going into Smith's just to look at railway magazines to find out what things were what. So nice, I can literally nowadays pull your phone out. Bing bang bosh, you've got it. It was like, I always remember train cabs being a real enigma to me. Like, how did you drive a train? You guys must have had that as a kid as well, unless you're young enough to have grown up using the internet. How did you drive it? What controls did it have? What buttons did you press? What levers did you pull? That's why I'm so into it now. The only way I knew what train cabs looked at was getting hoiked up and lifted up to look in them. And I had a 70s or 80s book, a rail encyclopedia. That had like a picture of a... Now going back, and trying to remember what that picture was, trying to remember it to a cab nowadays. I'm pretty sure it was either a Deltic or a 37. And it was just like a drawing. And that's all I went on for years. I actually remember having a conversation, probably quite a heated discussion if I remember it right. My friend was adamant that trains had steering wheels. And to prove it to him, I showed this picture, but of course it had the picture of the handbrake. It was a wheel. And he goes, that's that. And then after that, I think I remember telling another mate and making him, or was his sister, believing that trains did have steering wheels by showing them the same picture. Buggers we were when we were kids. It was like the naming of the intercities. It's like the Intercity 125 did 125 mile an hour, and I knew as a kid downright well that the Intercity 225 didn't do 225 mile an hour. But I told all my mates that it did 225 mile an hour. And in fact, it's quite funny if you watch IC82 on YouTube as well. He did the same thing. I was like, oh, I think that was probably the video I subscribed to him from. Yeah, it's weird how we get into it, weird things. If you have any weird memories or things like that when you were a kid, or silly things you thought about railways that you now know to be completely untrue, stick them in a comment. I would really actually like to read them. And I mean, knowing what to call trains was another big one. Until I got my Michelin I Spy book. I Spy on the road. That's a yellow, Chris. See what I mean? What am I going to go down to here? Now my hunch is if anything's in front of us as passenger, it's going to be doing more than going to be doing 100 at least. It's staying pretty yellow, that. Nope. Let's take it down to 80 and see how we get on. $70 will do. That's double yellow. We'll keep it 70. Just let you guys know, Chris has put a post on the CH Reskins Facebook page that I've just read now, and it's regarding the Colas 60, saying it might cause a dump, so there's a different way to install it. I had the same trouble but for a different scenario. I don't know if it's a fault at our end or something's been updated, but considering me and Chris both had the same issue, he's going to get hold of, is it Richard Fletcher, who did the reskin. It seems to the installer that comes with them, which I'm really pleased they do, by the way, and love the fact that they put installers on their reskins now. It makes life a lot easier, but it does seem to install the Colas Class 60 slightly wrong. I couldn't get it to run for ages, and it was only when Chris said about this video they went, oh, I had loads of issues with that, do this, make sure it's like this. And yeah, it's worked fine for me. So far, I haven't hit York yet. I'm guessing that's where it's going to be since we haven't seen it already. Is that a double? That's a double. Well, my 125 mile an hour jaunt up the East Coast Main Line has been truly and utterly crucified. That is going to be the new term for it. Crucifixion. I quite like it really. It's boring if it's just straight through all the way, isn't it? Sometimes. Oh, that's a single. That just gone double. Let's knock it down. Oh, I'm doing 60. Let's put it dead on 60. Oh, she's pretty. I'll be so... Oh. Another single. I'll be so sad to see the back. Oh, single. So sad to see the back of the 91s. I'd love to be part of the preservation movement for a 91. Love to. I don't think there is a Class 91 Preservation Society just yet. There was a Class 61. I think there still is a Class 61. Which I'm pretty sure yellow. Yeah, sorry, I use my binos there again. I keep them in my bag. For those of you who don't know, my driver's bag's down here and it's got a set of binos in it and a few drinks and stuff just in case. Yeah, there's a Class 60 preservation group. And there's an HST, there's Project Miller, which is the HST preservation group. But I don't know if there's a 91 one. There we go, let's start it. Is it Porterbrook? Is it Porterbrook that own the 91s? Or get emailing them, say give one to Alan. When you're getting rid of them, don't scrap them, give them to Alan. I mean, I'll be surprised if they're used anywhere else. These are true racehorses. We're all green. Yeah, pure racehorses there. Pretty costly to maintain as well. And I think I mentioned in a previous video, I think it was about the Class 89, that because these have got like, they're all microcontroller controlled and things, there are computers of a very rudimentary kind in them. Microprocessors, more or less. But they're well obsolete. I mean, you're talking 30-year-old computer technology. You can't just go and pick it up off a shelf. They were probably pretty bespoke when they were built. So they're having to get like PCBs remade, so printed circuit boards remade, and they're costing thousands. I think it was actually Eurostar that I read it on. That's it's one of these control boards for something was like $4 grand for a board. Mark IV set. Seemed a bit short. Probably my eyes. So yeah, we might get one in preservation. Whether it will run is another thing. I suppose in theory the prohibitive factors for mainline running locomotives a lot of the time is this darling thing here and this darling thing here. So it's GSMRs and TPWS systems and the on-train data monitoring and recording equipment. This all has it. So until ERTMS or something like that comes in a bit later down the line, there's no reason with enough money that we couldn't keep a 91 going. I'd be very surprised if we could keep a full set somewhere. I mean, what preserved railway has room for a full set? Probably loads that I just don't know of. But the big factor of any electric locomotive or unit is the pure fact that it's electric. It's overhead electrification. We haven't got a preserved railway with overhead electrification. But saying that, I mean, there's big calls for the East Coast Main Line to be rewired. I mean, this is Mark III catenary all up the East Coast Main Line, and it was cheap to install. It was quick to install. Now it's knocking on a bit. It's not the world's most reliable catenary, as a lot of you will know that have been stuck on the East Coast Main Line with overhead line problems. So see, when they start renewing it, maybe we can get some of the old stuff, and then we'll just have to worry about feeding it with electricity somehow. Oh, that looks a bit coalescy up ahead there. Yeah, there's the Coast Class 60. Not a massive fan of the livery. I like it on a 60 though. Lovely. Cheers for that.